Do me a favor. I want to run a little bit of an experiment today. I want each and every one of you to go to your spouse or your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, and I want you to ask them a real simple question. Why do you love me? Go ahead, press the pause button. I'll wait. Unless, of course, you're driving in a car, and the last thing I want you to do is get in a relationship conversation while you're going 70 miles per hour. You back? Awesome. I can guarantee you that the majority of your significant others responded to that question with a description of you. Like, I love you because you're handsome. I love you because you're pretty. I love you because you're smart. I love you because you're funny. I love you because you're tall, short, whatever. If they didn't respond that way, then I promise you, they probably answered with a description of how you make them feel. I love you because you make me feel good about myself. I love you because you make me laugh. I love you because you make me happy. If this is the case, either way, I need you to be careful because your relationship actually might be at risk of failing. I'm your host, KGB, and today we have another incredible episode of Notes to the Sun. I want you to join me as we take a deep dive into why your relationship might be failing and what's love got to do with it. Let's chop it up. What's love got to do with it? What's love but a sweet old-fashioned notion? Feel good, feel good. The problem with loving someone based on descriptors is that those descriptions oftentimes change over time. Looks change, personalities change, cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence, they change over time. And sometimes that sense of humor is no longer desired when life is no longer so goddamn funny. Feelings also change over time. So if you love someone because they make you feel good, what happens when life starts lifing and things start to make you feel bad? I know. Outro. So no wonder 20% of all marriages end in the first 5 years and 32% end in the first 10. People are looking for things like money, romance, and looks. Things that are as fleeting as a fart in the wind. You hear that? That's the sound of another marriage going down the toilet. Imagine someone loving you for who you were 10 years ago. That means for you to continue to be loved, you cannot change. You cannot evolve. You cannot even grow. God forbid you lose some looks or money. What happened to you, Kafra? You used to be so fun, romantic, and full of energy. Well, baby, I'm a father now. I have a career. And I only bought you those roses back then because I was too broke and couldn't afford to buy you a house. So consider our mortgage like 60 bouquet of roses that you receive each month. I'm still a romantic.
Something is broken.
In our society, we chase love like it's a limited edition sneaker drop. We line up around the block for it just to find the right one. We swipe left for it. We hunt for it. We audition for it. We look for it in bars, gyms, clubs, and even churches. We treat love like it's a prize to be won or a treasure to be found. Everyone is hoping to find Mr. and Mrs. Right, the person that will satisfy every checkbox on our list of must-haves. They need to have a six-pack, money, good hair, and good looks. They need to be funny, smart, romantic, and to top it off, love long walks on the beach. After all that chasing, you never find Mr. and Mrs. Right. You want to know why? Because they don't exist. It's just a bunch of people pretending to be, and dating apps lying that you can find them on their website. After all that chasing, many of us actually end up feeling more isolated than ever, wondering if there's actually something broken inside of us. Spoiler alert, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken inside of you. It's the way that you're searching for love and the way you're searching for connection that is broken. But what if the deepest secret to love wasn't about the chase at all? What if I could share with you the path to finding true love, a path that has been right beneath our noses for 3,000 years? The ancient African civilization of Egypt, or Kemet, left us a map to a kind of love that we have completely forgotten. Buried underneath East African deserts and written on the walls of temples, the Egyptians shared their beliefs about love. The Egyptians they didn't see love as a hunt or a possession. Love was a process, a transformation, a spiritual upgrade meant to elevate the mind, body, and soul. And no, this isn't some secret written on a scroll and hidden in the pyramids. These ideas about love come from an African culture, come from an African philosophy, comes from an African worldview that was ultimately borrowed and stolen by philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. This is the forgotten wisdom of the pharaohs, a path to love that doesn't just fulfill you, it elevates your consciousness.
The Egyptian idea of love.
In ancient Egypt, the word for love was meri, and the hieroglyph for it was a hoe. Yes, a hoe. It was a farming hoe, not a picture of my ex-girlfriend. In order to understand why the Egyptians used a common farming tool to symbolize spiritual, mental, and physical love, you must understand the actual function of a farming hoe. You see, the hoe symbolized the opening of the earth to receive the life-giving waters of the Nile. The hoe was a tool for preparing the ground so that life could grow. So of course they used it as a symbol for love. Love wasn't something that you owned. Love is a tool, something that you use to cultivate life, transformation, and growth, not only within your own heart, but within the heart of your loved one. The hoe is a symbol of the work that you must do to love someone, the work that you must do in order to cultivate life. Love is work. Love is sacrifice. So when you say you love someone, you are acknowledging the work that you are prepared to do so that they may receive a physically, mentally, and spiritually fulfilling life. Meanwhile, in modern dating, people are like, well, what can you do for me? Do you complete me? Or what do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? The Egyptians would look at you and be like, no one wants to bring anything to your table if you out here serving nasty ass food. When your macaroni soggy, your peas all mushy, and your chicken tastes like wood. Before I bring anything to your table, make sure your table is set. For the Egyptians, fulfillment wasn't something that you found in another person. It was something that you cultivated inside of yourself. The goal wasn't to find fertile ground. The goal was to become fertile ground. Love is work. And anyone who's been married for over 10 years will tell you that if you're not prepared to do the work, if you're not prepared to make the sacrifices, don't pick up a hoe.
Love is in the heart.
It is worth noting that this idea that we have that love lives in the heart is actually an ancient Egyptian belief, a belief that's over 5,000 years old. You see, in the ancient Egyptian religion, the heart was the key to the afterlife. It was the seat of consciousness and moral character. The ancient Egyptians believed that when you died, it was your heart that was weighed against the feather of truth. What would happen is, when you passed away, you would take your heart to heaven and you would hand it to God. And God would weigh your heart. And if your heart was heavy and full of evil and ego and wrongdoing and selfishness, that it would be heavy and it would drop, prohibiting you from entering heaven. However, if your heart was full of love, it would be light as a feather, and you would gain passage into the gates of heaven. Only a heart light and pure was able to enter the afterworld. They believed that it was love that actually lightened your heart. It was love that actually broke up the hard and rocky soil of your hard head and your hardened spirit. So why is this important, and what does this have to do with your relationship? Well, ego, pride, and selfishness are all supposed to diminish when we truly love someone. A heart becomes light when we are truly devoted to sacrificing ourselves for others and doing the work needed to help them grow. Love wasn't a feeling that happened to you. It was the sacred result of preparing yourself and preparing another to receive life. So the hoe is a symbol of love, and love is the work that you must do in order to secure life. Love is work. It is the sex that you must have in order to produce physical life. It is the knowledge that you must obtain in order to achieve intellectual life. And it is the faith that you must have in order to secure everlasting life in heaven. Love is work. And when you say you love someone, you are acknowledging the work that you were willing to put in so that they may receive life. Love is not something that you possess or that's something that someone gives you. It is something that you give to another. Well, before you run out now and say, oh my God, I found the secret to love, and you start trying to put in that work so that you could truly love your significant other, slow your roll. We got a little ways to go, all right? Before we kind of jump into what's next, it's important that you understand the three components of love. See, this is essential. It is essential that you understand what love is made up of before you go out and start trying to love someone. And I don't give a damn if you are loving your kids, if you are loving your parents, if you are loving your spouse, your significant other, your mate, your friend, your sibling. It does not matter who you are loving. If your love is not made up of these three components, it ain't love. And those three components are knowledge, sacrifice, and reciprocity. I'm going to repeat that for you. Knowledge, sacrifice, reciprocity. Those are the three components of love. And if you ever want to determine whether or not your acts or your behavior are loving, make sure that those acts of love comprise of those three components. So before you start digging up soil, what's one of the first things you got to do if you're trying to plant something? You got to know what the hell you're planting, which leads us to the first component of love, which is knowledge or self-knowledge. Knowing what seed you are planting is the first step in finding true love.
Self-knowledge.
Have you ever gone to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a nursery, any place where you're trying to pick up a plant and you buy a plant and inside the plant is a little piece of plastic that they stick in the soil, and in that or on that piece of plastic are instructions for you that tells you what that plant needs in order to survive? Moderate light, low light, lots of water, low water, whatever the case may be. There are instructions inside of the plant before you even purchase it that tells you what that plant will need in order to survive. So if you can't provide that plant with what it needs to survive, you have no damn business buying that plant. Well, love is the exact same way. You will not be ready for love unless you can answer these three questions. These three questions about self-knowledge, and they are, where am I? Where do I want to be? And how do I get there? So for all of you that are tackling love, before you can begin to love anyone, you must understand where you are, where you want to be, and how, in fact, you get there. Without the answer to those three fundamental questions, how can anyone love you properly? You don't have a plastic tag inside of you telling people what they need to do in order to give you life. So if you don't give them instructions, how can anyone love you properly? They cannot give you what you want because you don't even know what the hell you want. You must have stated needs. And having stated needs is the first step in finding true love. Your significant other must have an honest roadmap to your happiness. And you must have theirs before you can embark on this journey of love. People who do not know what they want in life are unlovable. If you marry them, you will spend the rest of your time playing the game of guess what she wants or guess what he wants. You both will be miserable and unfulfilled. Knowing who you are and what you want, having that tag inside of you of stated needs is essential. The road to love begins with knowledge of self. Know what type of seed you are before you start demanding water. Know what type of plant you want to grow into before you start demanding things from other people. Make sure that your stated needs are clear and plain so that your significant other or anyone else who's trying to court you, they know exactly what you need. It is insane to begin the courting process looking for what other people can bring to the table when you don't even know what's for dinner. You must have your stated needs before anyone can love you. My wife and I have been together for 32 years, and I can honestly say the first 10 years was a complete shit show. An absolute miserable shit show. And the reason why is because we didn't know how to love and we didn't even really know ourselves. We weren't able to give each other our stated needs. We weren't able to really identify what it was that was going to make each other happy. And as the saying goes, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And that's what we were doing for the first 10 years, just throwing shit up against the wall and hoping that it stuck. We had strong affections for one another, but love? No. There's no way we could have loved each other because we didn't know what love was. There's no way we could have loved each other because we didn't know what to do to make those sacrifices necessary so that the other person could grow. And the reason why most people don't provide their spouses with their stated needs, you ready for this? Because they're actually scared you're going to fulfill those needs. Facts. People don't tell you what's going to make them happy for fear that you actually might give it to them. Most people are not prepared for happiness. Most people are so conditioned to be miserable. Most people are so conditioned to be unhappy that the idea of being happy frightens them. So they hold back their stated needs. They hold back their wants and their desires. They hold back the things that are actually going to fulfill them because they fear that if you actually give them what they need, they will no longer have an excuse for being fucking miserable.
Sacrifice.
Once you and your partner have answered the three questions that I mentioned previously, where am I? Where do I want to be? And how do I get there? This is when the actual work begins. First, you will need to have an honest conversation with your partner or the person that you love about what your expectations are, not only for yourself, but for your life. Second, you will need to outline the necessary sacrifices that you and your partner will have to make so that you can meet those expectations. And if you cannot do this, you run the risk of your partner being an obstacle to your happiness rather than a champion for it. Providing them with the keys to your happiness actually helps them more then it actually helps you. They now have the blueprint for how to love you. Once you have outlined the sacrifices needed for your fulfillment, your partner will need to do the same. The Bible says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. The greatest act of love was God's sacrifice of his son so that humanity could have eternal life. God created us in his image. So therefore, our love is also demonstrated through our sacrifices. The Egyptians believed that inside of love is work and sacrifice. Inside of marriage is our sacrifices. Christians believe the same thing. Inside of Mary was the sacrifice of God. Read up on it. It's not a coincidence. This is why going through this exercise is so important, because understanding that love is sacrifice is the key to a long-lasting relationship. The reason why your love for your children tends to be, unfortunately, greater and longer lasting than your love for your significant others is because of the sacrifices that you made for their growth and development. We sacrifice for our kids to help them grow, but we expect our spouses to come ready-made with all the tools to make us happy. It's unfair. It's unrealistic. It's unsustainable.
The story of soul.
To highlight all of this, I want to share with you a little story. When my son was 2 years of age, he was diagnosed with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. And at the time, his teachers at his nursery basically shared that they thought that something was going on with him related to his speech, and we should look into it. We went ahead and had him meet with a medical doctor who, as soon as we got there, had administered some IQ tests and a battery of other tests. Now, my son, he communicated largely through a iPad at the time. And not only that, but he was hyper-focused on a lot of different activities. He rarely gave eye contact, and he only spoke to a small group of family members and friends. So when the doctor gave him these tests, naturally, my son never gave him eye contact, never paid attention to him, never responded, and paid all of his attention to the iPad that was in front of him, and got grumpy and started crying when the iPad was taken away. Needless to say, at the end of the test, the doctor concluded that not only did my son have ASD, but that he had below average intelligence, and this would probably be a hindrance to him for the remainder of his life. Needless to say, not only was the information jarring, but literally in that moment, one of the first things that I thought about were the countless numbers of minority parents and poor parents that find themselves sitting in doctors' offices and listening to these so-called professionals tell them that not only do their children suffer from these disorders, but that they have below intelligence and that they should expect a life of obstacles. Thank God, I had already been made aware through my own studies of the biases that are inherent in all of these tests. And so I kindly grabbed my son, told the doctor to fuck off. When I got home and we shared with family members and friends the diagnosis of my child, many of them had provided us with a lot of reading material and books that would give us a little more insight into ASD. And for all of those individuals that provided us with that information, can't thank you enough. However, I respectfully and kindly grabbed those books and dumped them in the fucking trash. I told my wife at the time that unless one of these books are titled How to Raise Soul Bradley, then I have no interest in reading them. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that in that doctor's entire life, throughout his education, throughout all the knowledge that he has secured, throughout his residency, his internship, all of the things that he's ever studied or done in his life, one thing he's never done as ever came across Soul Bradley. So how in the fuck did he know those three major components about him? Who he was, where he was going, and what he needed to get there. He knew a lot about science, but he didn't know jack shit about what it was going to take so that my child can reach his full potential. The love that was going to be required by both my wife and I in order for Soul to grow. And so what we did was we immediately started the work, the difficult work of loving our child. It was work that didn't always make us feel good. We cried countless of times. We went to bed just fear-stricken. We led a life of uncertainty, and it was one heartbreak after another. We had professionals coming in and out of our home 3 days out of the week. We went to countless different schools to make sure that he was in the right one. And slowly but surely, our love started to pay off. This isn't a recipe for every child that suffers from ASD. This is the recipe for Soul. It is the only recipe that I was willing to follow, his recipe. And I can say gladly, at the age of 14 years old, my son is now mainstreamed. He is not receiving any special services. My son presently is in all honors classes and he has a 4.0 GPA. And the only two words that are used to describe him is loving and genius. This is the point. Giving someone what you want to give them. Watering this plant in the same manner that this plant is watered. Feeding this plant with the same instructions that you receive for every plant is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe for death. It is a recipe for failure. My wife and I listened to the instructions that were placed inside of our child, and we followed those instructions, and it was through the following of those instructions that my son was able to grow. We love Soul not because how he makes us feel. We love Soul because of the sacrifice and the work that we are willing to do, that we are prepared to do, so that he will be the best version of himself. That's how you love someone.
Reciprocity.
And the last component of love is reciprocity. See, sacrifice without reciprocity is abuse. If someone continues to give to you and you are not reciprocating by sacrificing for them, you are an abuser. And this goes for all relationships, whether it's your family, your friends, your children, your job. If your sacrifices for others do not actually bring you joy and fulfillment, then you are being abused. Now, before you start accusing everyone around you of abusing you, ask yourself if you've actually expressed your stated needs to each of them. If not, then you have failed to provide them with your watering instructions. If you have expressed to your loved ones what your needs are, it is incumbent upon them to make sacrifices for you. If they do not, then true love will never be present in that relationship. Ultimately, if you are sacrificing for them and they're not sacrificing for you, the relationship will eventually turn one-sided and eventually abusive. Reciprocity is the final and most important component of love. Can you get what you give, and can you give what you receive? The world and all of nature is built on reciprocity. The entire universe is constantly in one dance of sacrifice and reciprocity. Atoms, planets, stars, and galaxies, they are constantly making cosmic love. They are constantly in an act of reciprocity and sacrifice, even black holes that seem like they only take. They contribute to the shape and movements of our galaxies. Giving back to the one that sacrifices is the last component of love. How do you show your appreciation to the ones who are sacrificing for you? Are you giving them what they need to grow? Are you only giving them what you want to give them? Are you the negligent gardener, always overwatering your palms or underwatering your roses because you feel like it? If so, you're an abuser, and you will be the cause for your relationship not lasting.
In conclusion,
For thousands of years, the Nile has whispered a different story about love. Love isn't something you chase. It isn't something that you capture. It isn't even a person who completes you. Love is the sacred work of becoming someone capable of divine connection. It's taking a hold to the hard soil of your heart and preparing the ground where transcendent love can grow. So the question isn't, will I find the true one? The question is, am I becoming the true one? So what is the one thing that you could do today to begin cultivating the soil of your own soul? Well, first, it starts with those 3 fundamental questions I mentioned earlier. Do yourself a favor and go to a nice quiet area of your home that you can meditate on where you are right now, where you would like to go, and the road that you must follow in order to get there. Those are the 3 questions that you must ask yourself, because if you cannot answer those questions, you cannot be loved. And then the second thing, as an assignment, this week, this is what I want each and every one of you to do. Go ahead and practice going to the ones you love and telling them why you love them. And don't use words to describe them. I love you because you're smart, you're funny, you're cute, blah, 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 blah. Do not use words that talk about how they make you feel. Rather, share with them all of the sacrifices that you were willing to make so they can be fulfilled. Stay clear of mentioning stuff that has nothing to do with their personal fulfillment. I'll give you an example. Don't say stuff like, I love you because I take care of the kids, clean your house, and cook. Say something like, honey, I know going back to college is a big deal for you. And I love you because I will do whatever it takes to help you get there. If you need me to cook more, clean more, or help more with the kids, I'll do it because that's how much I love you. Get it? If you practice expressing your love in a way that clarifies for the recipient the sacrifices that you were willing to make so that they will fulfill their goals, I promise you they will feel different about you. They will feel loved. They will see you as a partner in their happiness, a partner in them fulfilling their destiny. They will see you as a partner in life rather than someone that just makes them feel good. Go ahead and do that, and I promise you, you're going to get results. This has been another great episode of Notes to the Sun. I'm your host, KGB, and I'm going to keep on showing up every single week. I'm going to keep on doing the work, and I'm going to keep on making the sacrifices because I love you. Do me a favor. Love me back. Subscribe, like, and comment, and take care. Bye-bye.